This is an Am I the A-hole post from a woman. And what I say about these is women are just simply looking for validation for feeling normal human emotions. She says, am I the a-hole for cutting off my mother-in-law after she made a joke about poking holes in our condoms? No, you're not the a-hole, but let's look at this post. She says, I, a 38-year-old woman, have been together with my husband, James, for 4 years. We are both child-free and do not intend to have kids in the future. When we first got married, we both told our family how we didn't want to have kids and why. My family was fine with it, but his wasn't, especially my mother-in-law, who I'll call Mary for privacy. She's either passive-aggressive or just tells us we'll change our minds soon. For example, telling us, I can't wait to be a grandma, despite us not wanting children. If we try to say otherwise, she just pretends to not hear us. I've been very uncomfortable with this, and I have told my husband multiple times, but he's just brushed it off saying, she'll accept it someday. However, I reached a limit. Recently, James was hosting a dinner party and invited his family as well as mine. While we were eating, my mother-in-law jokingly said, you know, OP, I've considered poking holes into you and James's condoms so I could be a grandma. It's so smart and you'd never know, before laughing. I was horrified. After that, I excused myself and left the house. James followed after me, saying I was being dramatic and it was a joke. I told him that it wasn't a joke and what would happen if she actually did it. We kept arguing a bit before he stormed back into the house and I drove off in my car. I blocked my mother-in-law on all social media and deleted her number. The whole family is furious at me now, calling me sensitive and paranoid. Am I the a-hole? It is not, you're not the a-hole and you're not being too sensitive. People making these types of jokes and expecting folks to not see this as a threat is silly. Literally, this woman has said, I do not want to have children. So any taking away of consent, what is it when you take away consent? What is that? It's certainly not a joke. It's certainly not a prank. Absolutely not the a-hole. I'm not really going to dig into these comments because she's already made an update. That's how I came to this post in the first place. So here's the update. She says, here's part 1. She says, thank you all for the support. She says, hi guys, I thought I'd give you an update. So after everything that happened last night, I had a talk with my husband about how I want him to take a deeper step into his commitment of being child-free. I've also told him unless he gets a vasectomy or something similar, I will not be having sex with him. I want him to do this to prove he can stand up to his mother and that he is just as child-free as I am. But honestly, I've doubted that after posting the first story, not in a rude way, of course. My husband told me that still he wasn't ready yet and that I was moving too fast. And by asking him to stand up to his mother, I was basically asking him to disrespect her for my sake. So then I just asked him if he wanted kids or not and to stop beating around the bush because I will divorce him and disappear like the wind if he doesn't. That finally got him to open his mouth and he told me that he did want kids and was just secretly hoping for either an accident or me changing my mind, like how most of you guys in the comments predicted. But what really shocked me is that he was already considering tampering with our birth control condoms before, but he just hadn't found it in him to do it yet. So now it makes sense why he only wanted to use condoms for our birth control. After that, I simply said that as of now, this marriage is over and I will be filing for divorce as fast as possible. And I made sure to tell him that whatever possible child I could have had would never be in his grasp to see, especially my mother-in-law. He tried to protest, but I was firm on leaving. Honestly, he was pretty much planning to baby trap me. Nice try, but not here, honey. As of now, I'm currently staying at my sister's house. Soon, I'm going to try to find a lawyer for a divorce, but I do know that I can't ever go back to that house with him in it or my mother-in-law. This entire event has left me shaken, very shaken and worried. This is a whole mess. It is wild when people who want children, who know that they want children, are not honest with the person that they're with and themselves. Stop trying to change people. Children are a deal breaker. You're either with somebody and active 100% let's go, or you're not. Stop messing with people who want the opposite thing. This is not, okay, today we'll do spaghetti, tomorrow we'll do pizza. Absolutely not. There's no consensus on this. There's no compromising on this, especially if you're the woman. You have to be actively for it. Stop trying to baby trap women. This is a mess, especially in this politicized world where it could literally harm or unalive women. Absolutely not. She did the right thing by saying this is over and going to stay with her sister. Not going to do a lot of these comments, but Bitter Coyote says, hold on a second. Why is it only his responsibility to get neutered? Why can't you get spayed instead? And she says, I've replied to a comment explaining why, but I'll say it again. I've already offered to get some procedures done myself, but it's him who didn't want me to because he wanted me to wait until he was ready as well. And then they said, oh yeah, definitely not the a-hole then. He's a bozo and you can do better. Good luck. Lucille asked this question. Why did you get married if you didn't want children? That's a weird question to me because not everybody wants to have children. Why is this so hard to understand that not everybody wants to have children? That's weird. But she says, he had told me before that he didn't want any either. I thought we were on the same page. Turns out I was reading a completely different book. I'm not going to do any more of these comments. Obviously to me, this woman is not the a-hole, but you all go ahead and weigh in. What do you think? Like, comment, and share. I'm scrolling Reddit and I came across this title, and I'm not going to lie, it grabbed me because it says, ah, that got me. It did. This was posted in the Ask Feminist subreddit. He says, so first off, I'm AMAB. That stands for assigned male at birth. I have a vasectomy. I have kids. I have an ex-wife who has a wife. She's amazing, and I'm glad she really worked through the religious trauma she had that locked her outside of being herself. Selfishly, it's even good for me because it means my kids get an even better, more self-actualized parent. And my ex-wife has great taste in women, and her partner is also great with my 2 sons. I also do social work for unhoused people and believe in abundance-based, human-centric social structures. All that to say, please know that I am aware of the harm created by the actions involved. I'm just trying to understand the determining and contributing factors so I can raise my sons in a way that limits any sort of similar beliefs being able to be held. He's saying all of this, and I'm thinking, get to the point, dude. All right, let's go. He says, young men are essentially saying they are lonely and depressed like never before. They are saying that they cannot find a partner or a relationship and is ruining their mental health and lives. These same men then support policies that reduce the amount of control an AFAB, assigned female at birth person, can have over reproductive function, which makes each and every actual encounter inherently more risky. Increased risk means you need more incentive to take an action. People tend to have X because it feels good, but they can also have X because it provides relief from emotional pain, proof of affection, not saying it's accurate, or because X can help meet a non-actual need. For X to feel good, you need to reduce the amount of mental distress X puts someone in besides some BDSM kink corner cases. Making a birth a more likely outcome of X means X is now more complicated and distressing. They are reducing the amount of X that happens out of good feelings being sought, which is the only kind of X that I personally feel ethically okay participating in. It's less that an X strike needs to consciously even happen, one will happen by necessity, which is then going to make young men even more socially disaffected to the point they need to restrict the choice of women even more to compensate. It's a loop that they themselves are causing. He says, how in the F can this loop be broken? Because it's literally harming every single person involved, assigned female at birth, infinitely more. It's effing dumb, but is it trying to teach men in my life to be more compassionate to themselves and to try to help them connect with their emotions? How can I reduce harm to the best of my ability within this current context? I tried talking with conservatives that are in my life without my consent. I asked them the outcomes they wanted to achieve through voting, and then spent time sourcing arguments and explaining how there are better, more informed choices that achieve those outcomes. It didn't effing matter. I got called, and it looks like a slur. I got called a slur, despite being a 6'4" former college football player and a father of two. I really don't want my takeaway to be I have to be okay punching more people. That feels like such a man response to a complicated, multifactorial issue. Whew, this man said a lot of words, but it just seems like he's trying to get these disaffected men, like, how do we get to the point where they're getting more X? That's what I'm reading. He said a whole lot of words to get to that point. That's what I'm gathering. These men are disaffected because women are pulling back because our autonomy is being restricted. And yeah, so how do we fix that? He's saying, how do we fix that so that these men can get more X? He just typed a whole lot of stuff to get to that point. Like, it's like he ran 3 miles to walk 2 blocks to the corner store. At this particular juncture in life, I don't think that asking feminists is the key, because I don't think that the feminists can change this, because he's asking us, but that's not going to change how these disaffected males talk about us. So truthfully speaking, this is just speaking out into the wind. But because of this, I did go into the men's rights subreddit. Okay, this is in the men's rights subreddit. I got a few posts. This one is titled 4B. Ah, ha, 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 ha. He says, say it ain't so. Say it ain't so. Down on hands and knees. I'll reform. Promise. Just please, please, please restore access to your precious body for me once more so I can continue to worship you. Laughing my effing butt off. Oh, I'm going to enjoy this. Mr. Bowtie says, funny how when a portion of women go their own way, men let them do it and aren't bothered by it. But when a portion of men do it, women get it labeled a hate group. Seems to imply women need men more than men need women. Embarrassed Toon says they do. You can tell just by looking at the way the two sexes objectify one another. Men objectify through X, women objectify through utility. Paulina says they thrive on attention, deny them attention, and they go feral. Volcano Sheep says it's not so much a loss at all. The sort of women that play these games are extremely toxic people, and any relationship with them would be massively detrimental to your mental health. I see this as an absolute win. Edit. Thought I'd add another thing I'd seen to keep the laughs up. Was reading on some of these no X messages on 2X, and one of them said they should go further and emulate the women in Iceland that went on a strike for a day to show how important they are. Obviously doesn't realize Iceland barely registered that all women had taken the day off. So that's the first post. Second post, people saying men cared about the economy more than the women in their lives are peak female privilege. Imagine not having to care about the economy because you don't have to provide for someone, even yourself. You know you'll be fine regardless of economic performance, because even if you don't have a man taking care of you, decades of feminist policies now force all men of society to subsidize all the women. And they're too unself-aware to realize it, because obviously in these people's minds, women don't work and pay taxes. That is what they live in, a parallel universe where only men are working. Mickey says, those women are too rich and privileged to realize how good they have it. Some even look down on people, especially women who have jobs that no one else wants, or the icky jobs. That's why they're too dumb, or worse, ignoring to realize they would get less money for their stuff or won't have anyone to do the boring jobs for them because the latter's job got shut down. Okay, I don't exactly know what that comment really says, but okay, cool. That's what Mickey said. Next post I grabbed. If MGTOW was misogynist, the 4B must be misandrous. If you haven't seen the headlines, 4B has been trending in the U.S. following the election, with American women wanting to follow in the footsteps of South Korean women. 4B essentially involves boycotting men in protest of misogynist government policies in an attempt to get men to support their desired policies. Somehow this is empowering for women, even though it's the equivalent of MGTOW, which is widely slammed as misogynistic. Of course, 4B is even actually more egregiously misandrous in that it aims to manipulate men's behavior through women's social power. Social power they're ironically admitting to having by taking part in the movement. This is literally what they're saying. Women are pulling back because we know that getting pregnant could have like real life and death consequences, and women are shouldering all of the responsibilities of parenting. That's one of the reasons why women are pulling back. It's very interesting to see how they are responding. Some men are like laughing it off. Some people are just like, this is misandry. It's very interesting to watch them talk. The person at the bottom says they won't have any social power if men didn't care at all. They won't have any social power if men didn't care at all. If men didn't care at all of these posts wouldn't be about women in the men's rights subreddit. I went through, there are a whole lot of them telling each other that they don't care what the women are saying. It's very, very strange to have so many men say that they don't care, but make all of these posts about women. Join the conversation. Let me know what you think about this one. A man posted this on Twitter saying, men are so simple. Put his head in your lap and whisper, you did good, and he's as good as yours. Yes, you did. You did. Yes, you did. You are a good little boy. Yes, you are. Yes. That's what we... No, we're not doing that. Absolutely not. Some content creator named Jenny says the right-wing radicalization of high school and college-aged men is truly one of the biggest crises in the U.S., and it goes nearly completely unaddressed. So that was what Black Star is posting to comment on. And he says, I want to make this very clear. Young men have nothing. Literally, we have nothing. No future prospects. Most don't have skills. Most don't have partners, all for reasons outside of our control. All we had was our hobbies, and we couldn't even be left alone to have that. Oh, the humanity. Men have nothing. I have nothing. Nothing. I'm sorry. I obviously have nothing on Whitney Houston. Please forgive that. Oh my God, that's embarrassing. I'm still going to leave it in there. But the thing is, what's funny about this is men come into my comment section to remind me of all of the things that men have done. Men built this world. Men built the roads. Men put the roof on your place. Men do this. But this person's like, men have nothing, no skills, no future. Like, I wish they would make this message a little bit, make it make sense. Make it make sense across the board, because I'm not understanding. My female brain is not big enough to understand these most logical leaders and how all over the place they are. But ladies, can y'all please leave them alone to their hobbies? All they had was their hobbies, and apparently their hobbies are gone or something. So can you leave them alone so they go back and do their hobbies, their sports or whatever? Let them go back to their sports ball. Oh, there's more. He has more. And then for years, all our lives, from every institution, every piece of pop culture, the message has been beaten into us that we are the root of all evil, that we're irredeemable and privileged. I would like to put out there that most writers, directors, and these people that push the movies have been men. So he needs to take that up, take pop culture up. Women and Black women and other women of color just recently started making, series. He can watch some of the series created by women. Okay, let's continue. The only escape was the pop culture of the past, where we weren't hated, but even there we had no refuge. And now we're given the opportunity, finally, many of us for the first time, to maybe, just maybe, get a future, get peace, and you tell us that we're radicalized. Because y'all have been radicalized. Okay, he says, most men are really low maintenance. We don't need much at all, just a hug now and then, a hobby, a challenge, and to be left alone most of the time is more than enough for the vast majority of men. And that was too much to ask. Well, women are asked to be like treated like humans, and we're not. We're being treated like incubators and wife appliances. So, you get on board with the grievances, dude. I mean, we're trying to be human. You're trying to have a hobby and get a hug. You're not going to get a hug while women are still facing issues about our humanity and stuff. So, sorry, you're not going to get a hug or a pat on the head. Sorry. I will leave you all with this because it was funny. She honed in on the part where most don't have skills for reason outside of our control. And it's this accountability to men. You have to look at this picture if you were just listening. Men is this little penguin that's holding up the accountability. When will they have some accountability? I mean, literally, when will they develop these skills? They come into our comment section and talk all the time about how they don't really need us women. Men are the ones that run the world. We rule everything. When are they going to like figure some of their whole worldview out? Get some of these skills that they are telling us that they've had in the past. Find the clue. Most logical leaders. Use the big brain that you have. Use it. Y'all needed to see this, especially this picture. Join this conversation. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to like, comment, and share.